Grace be to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I just want to answer a question that I got from one of the internet questions that I received in an email. I get a lot of questions, and one of them I just wanted to answer briefly. The question was, I would like to know when the Abomination of Desolation stands in the holy place, where are we to flee? And the reason I'm answering this question in a video instead of just typing it out is because it can get in depth. So I thought it'd just be easier to do it this way. So, because that's kind of not a loaded question, but there's a lot that goes into that question. So I want to start in Matthew, the 24th chapter, the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 3. Here the disciples asked the Lord concerning his coming. Verse 3 of Matthew 24 reads, "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" So they were curious and wanted to know about Jesus' return and the end of the world as we know it. Okay? Jesus responded, verse 4, "And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you." So the first warning he gave was to be aware of deception. And you see this today, brothers and sisters. Deception is running rampant. Practically the whole world has gone astray after another Jesus and another gospel, as Paul said. He says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." That Jesus is the Christ. So they're using the name of Jesus, but they're bringing another Jesus. They're lying to you. In other words, they're telling you that he was born on December 25th. They're telling you that he loves everybody. They're telling you that you can continue to serve him as in sin. You can't do that. Okay, verse 6. "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Sounds like the times we're in today. Verse 7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." And we see that today, brothers and sisters. The famines that we see are in the worst places. What do I mean by that? They're in the most impoverished places. So we see famines and we see pestilence, HIV, AIDS, bird flu, all these things. Earthquakes, all right? Now, there always been a multitude of earthquakes, but you see them now more so, and in addition, what you see them on the fault lines where all the people are, because all the people, the vast majority of the earth's inhabitants, are in cities that are populated by the millions, and this is where you're seeing all these devastating earthquakes. He said, "All these are the beginning of sorrows." Okay, so that's just the beginning. He said, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." So persecution is on the horizon. All that live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution, as Paul told Timothy. But let's get down to verse 15, because again the question was, I'll read it again. "I would like to know when the abomination of desolation stands in the holy place, where are we to flee?" So let's get to the abomination of desolation and kind of break down what that is. This is verse 15. "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand." Now, what is that talking about? Well, first of all, like I said, it's kind of an in-depth question. We need to know some things. We need to know what the holy place is. Okay? Because in verse, well, I'm going to just skip down. I'm going to go to 2 Thessalonians, and we'll come back. 2 Thessalonians and the 2nd chapter, verse 3. Okay, so we understand what the holy place is talking about. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." Now the man of sin, the son of perdition, is the abomination of desolation, the Antichrist. Not one coming with the spirit of Antichrist, but the Antichrist. Okay? "Who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God." So this particular individual has exalted himself above God. He's the vicar of Christ. He says, "Or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." So Paul is telling them, don't think that the end of the world is coming. Now the disciples had the same question. What should be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world. Paul here is telling the Thessalonians, do not be deceived. The end of the world is not coming. That day is not coming until you see that man of sin, the son of perdition, stand, it says, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, or exalting himself as if he were God. Okay? So the holy place is the temple. Now, where's the temple? Brothers and sisters, Solomon built the first temple that was destroyed. It was in Jerusalem, and it was destroyed in the days of Nebuchadnezzar. In the days of Nehemiah and Ezra, it was built again, and then it was the second temple, and then that temple was destroyed by Titus and the Romans. Okay? So there is no temple now, so you know that there has to be a temple to stand in. And brothers and sisters, that is what's on the horizon, a third temple. So that is where this Antichrist, or the Abomination of Desolation, is going to stand. He's going to stand in the temple. Now let's go to Revelation 11 real quick. Revelation 11, just, you got to put the scriptures together. Revelation 11, and we'll go with verse 1. It reads, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod. So this is John the Revelator, and his mind is being projected, and he's receiving this from the Lord. It says, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. So now this is the temple that is going to be rebuilt by Zerubbabel when the Lord establishes his kingdom on the earth. But he says something here. He says, but the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. So this temple, this is where the third temple is going to be built. The people who profess to be the children of Israel, or the Jews, who they are not, the scriptures don't say they are the ones who are going to build this temple. They have all the instruments and utensils to build the temple already. They've cut the cornerstones. They have priests, so-called Levitical priests, in waiting. Okay? So they are going to begin sacrificing again after this temple is built. And this son of perdition is going to stand in that temple. So, and it's going to be in the old court area, you see. And that's that temple. That's where the Abomination of Desolation is going to stand. So let's go back to, well, since we're here, let's go to Revelation 12. Because the question was, again, I would like to know when the Abomination of Desolation stands in the holy place, which is the temple, where are we to flee? So, most people don't understand that it's time to flee. I just want to, matter of fact, back up a little bit, Matthew 24, and read that. Because once you see the Abomination of Desolation standing in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. There's no verse like that in the scriptures. And it tells us something that we need to take heed to. He says in verse 15, when ye therefore shall see, Matthew 24:15, when ye therefore shall see the Abomination of Desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, or the temple, whoso readeth, let him understand. And that whole ground was holy to the Lord. Verse 16, and when he stands there, that's going to be an affront to God. Verse 16, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay? So he's telling you not that you'll be raptured. There is no rapture, brothers and sisters. You can't find the word in the Bible. It's not in the scriptures at all. That's false doctrine. So he says, then let them be which in Judea flee into the mountains. Okay? So when we read in Revelation, the 11th chapter, and how the Gentiles will tread that area underfoot 42 months, or 3.5 years, times in the dividing of time, we understand that the Great Tribulation is 3.5 years, not 7. So 3.5 year Great Tribulation. Okay? And there is no rapture from it. He told us to flee. So let's confirm this. This is Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of stars. Now this is figurative. 12 stars. Now, who is this talking about? Let's go to Genesis, the 37th chapter, to find out that this is talking about the true children of Israel, who are a black people that have been scattered into slavery all over the world. This is Genesis, the 37th chapter, and verse 9, here Joseph has a dream. We want to confirm who this woman was. It said, again, it says, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now, who was this woman? Genesis 37 and verse 9. Now, this is Joseph. And he dreamed yet another dream, because he was a dreamer, and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Verse 10, and he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? So he had a dream that is quite similar to what we read John the Revelator talking about, or writing about in Revelation, the 12th chapter. See, what it was that represents the children of Israel. There were 12 tribes, 12 sons, and Joseph was one of those sons that make up or comprise the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, and the sun and the moon were talking about Jacob, and through his wife, or wives actually, you have the children of Israel, and they formed into a nation. Okay, so here, this woman is talking about the nation of Israel, again, who is a black people that have been scattered into slavery all over the world. This is, so Revelation 12 and 1, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. Now that child was none other than Jesus, because he came through Israel. Okay, and he came through the tribe of Judah. Okay, so let's skip down, because this talks about some other things, but we want to get right into, again, where to flee during the Great Tribulation, or what's going to be happening. Okay, verse 6, and the woman, the children of Israel, or Israel, the nation, fled into the wilderness. Again, the Lord does the same thing. He doesn't have to change. He's going to take this woman into the wilderness at this time, or this place of safety. Now, most people get confused because they read it and they put this with other scriptures that talk about children of Israel being regathered and going into the wilderness. At that time, that's when the Lord is back on the scene. And all the Israelites that have left after he's made his wrathful return will be taken by force into the wilderness. And he's going to plead with them there. See, he's going to deal with them in the wilderness before he brings them into the promised land. Okay, but at this time, it's a place of safety. So only those who know about this, okay, or who are willing will be going to the place of safety at this time. So it said, and the woman fled into the wilderness. So this is the nation. She fled into the wilderness where, but not everybody though. It's not all of them, but it's a lot of them. Where she had a place prepared of God. So this is a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days, 1,260 days. Now we read in Revelation 11 chapter, we read verses 1 and 2 where it talked about how the Gentiles were going to tread that area 40 and 2 months, 3.5 years. That's what that is. 1,260 days, 3.5 years. This is the duration of the Great Tribulation. That's why she has to flee. Okay? So let's go to, let's skip down a little bit and go to verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And we have been persecuted for a long time. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, figurative speaking now, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, times, and a half time. So again, time is 1, times is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, and half a time, 3.5 years. From the face of the serpent. Okay, so now she's going to be protected from this nation of Israel that goes into the wilderness, this place of safety, is going to be protected from this serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So just like when the children of Israel had to go through the Red Sea, They had Pharaoh and his army bearing down upon them, and they had to walk through the Red Sea. Something's going to happen at this time with water, where it's going to be some type of flood trying to carry this woman away. It says, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. That's why I said all are not going to make it into this place of safety. Some are going to be in the great tribulation, and they're going to have to deal with their lives being on the line. See, if you make it into the place of safety, it's just that. It's a place of safety during the great tribulation. We're going to break down where it's at. Okay, but I had to deal with that first. Okay, let's go to Daniel. Because we read in Matthew the 24th chapter that the abomination of desolation is spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Well, let's understand. Let's break down where this place is. Okay, so this is Daniel the 11th chapter. And this is verse 36. And it reads as follows. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. Again, this vicar of Christ. Okay? So who is this guy? This guy is none other than the Pope. Not saying it's Benedict now, but it is the Pope. You can look at other videos and I'll break that down. This is the Pope. That's who the Antichrist is. He's holding the office of Pope. He's going to go into that temple that the Israelis build and profess himself to be God. Now, how is he going to do that? He doesn't have an army. Well, he's going to have an army, because what you see right now is people aren't paying attention, is the reunification of the Roman Empire through the European Union. They may look weak now, but that's the reunification of Rome. You could travel through that empire just like you did in the days of Rome. They use the same currency just like they did in the days of Rome. You have the 10. If you ever research that, again, you're going to have, even though it's made up of a lot of power, you have 10 that are the military, basically that are the military and largely the economic might of the European Union. Okay? So, but you're going to have those 10. And then you have, what do you have? You have the Treaty of Rome that they've signed. You have, that's all that many have been trying to, from Mussolini to others who have been trying to reunify the glorious Roman Empire. So this is Daniel 11. So that's who the king is. It's the Pope. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. He does that now. He calling himself the vicar of Christ, or the replacement for the Son of God. Pontifex Maximus, he has all kinds, even though he claims that's not an official title, he has all kinds of titles that are literally blasphemous. And says that he can, his word is what goes, regardless of what the Bible says. Okay? And he shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Now listen to this, 37, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. It's because he is getting his power. You read in other scriptures, particularly in Revelation, that he is getting his power directly from Satan. And he doesn't have, it says, a desire for women. That's not, you read in Timothy where it talks about the damnable doctrine of devils that would that speaks of those who would refrain from eating meats and marriage. See, that's what they deal with through Catholicism. See, the same thing here. Let's keep reading. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate, he honored the God of forces, talking about Satan. And a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. Okay? So let's skip down because, again, the question was, I would like to know when the abomination of desolation stands in the holy place, where are we to flee? Verse 41. He shall enter also into the glorious land, that's Jerusalem, the promised land. And many countries shall be overthrown. Now listen to this. It says, but these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. Now that is significant. I'm going to read it again. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. Now why are they escaping out of his hand? Let's keep reading. I want to read this first. He shall stretch forth his hand. It says, he shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. Okay? But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Talking about China and Russia. The east and the west. Okay? They're going to be in a great conflict. It says, but tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly take many away. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Because he's going to be destroyed. He's the false prophet. He's the Antichrist, the son of perdition, the abomination of desolation. That's the Pope. And then you're going to have a political or military type person that's known as the beast. That's going to also come at that time. And those are the two people that are going to be cast into the lake of fire first, even before Satan and devil. Now, back to verse 41. Daniel 11 and 41, because this is key. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. And the reason that they are escaping out of his hand is because that is where the place of safety is. Now, question. Where is Edom, Moab, and Ammon today? On a modern map, that would be the land of Jordan. Okay? So, when the question was, I would like to know when the abomination of desolation stands in the holy place, where are we to flee? There it is. Jordan, the lands of Edom, Ammon, and Moab. Now, you're not going to need a plane ticket. You're not going to need a passport. You're not going to need to save up money to flee. The Lord will make a way. As we read in Revelation 12, he's going to bring us on eagle's wings. Okay? Just like the children of Israel, when they left Egypt, they didn't have to save up money. Matter of fact, they spoiled the Egyptians. The Egyptians were giving away their stuff before they left. They just wanted them to leave because of the terrible plagues that the Lord was dropping because Pharaoh refused to let his people go. So the Lord will provide. The thing is, take heed to the signs. We're seeing the signs now. We're seeing the beginning of sorrows now with the wars and rumors of wars. Earthquake, pestilence, disease. We're seeing nation rising against nation and kingdom against kingdom. We're seeing these things now. But that's just the beginning. Soon you will see persecution for your religious beliefs. And then you're going to also see, take heed, mark my word, you're going to see. Now I don't know if the dome of the Rock of El Mosque is going to be removed, but I know this. A third temple will be built. And sacrifice will commence in that temple. And when you see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Understand what the scriptures are saying. Then flee. Then it's time to flee. Where are you to flee? The lands of Edom, Moab, and Ammon. I hope that answers your question.